on pause. Now, with that being said, one of the biggest stars coming out of the WNBA season last year, Sophie Cunningham with the Indiana Fever. And what's crazy about Sophie's story is that Sophie was the only WNBA player that was the most Googled women's basketball player in all of 2005, bro. She beat out Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Beckers, and Asia Wilson. Sophie Cunningham did. Arguably a nice role player, bro. Now, with that being said, she's due for a major payday. She's been on her podcast. She said the next city she want to go to, she want to buy a house, and this might be her last little stitch. I don't know.
Tension between Sophie Cunningham and the Indiana Fever front office is now out in the open. Sources say the organization is unhappy with her, and reports of negative publicity have made the situation worse. This isn't a minor disagreement. It's a serious rift that could shape the Fever's entire offseason and Cunningham's future with the team. Once one of the most talked about players in women's basketball, she is now facing internal challenges that put her roster spot in doubt. This unexpected development changes how we view both her next move and the Fever's overall plans.
Watch. But it's cool because I still hear stuff. I'm still plugged in. But with that being said, man, Sophie Cunningham allegedly, the Indiana Fever front office ain't feeling Sophie Cunningham. They wasn't feeling the tactics she was doing. They felt as if Sophie Cunningham was doing a lot of bad press for the team. And me personally, I don't think Sophie Cunningham will be on the Fever 2026 season. I hope I'm wrong. God, please let me be wrong, because she is from my home state here in Missouri. But from what I was hearing during the season, at the conclusion of the season, is that they don't really feel Sophie in her.
The message is clear and hard to ignore. Despite her popularity, Sophie Cunningham is unlikely to be on the Fever's roster in 2026. Sources close to the team say her approach and direction no longer matched what the front office wanted. Going from fan favorite and social media standout to possibly being pushed out by team leadership is a sharp and sudden turn. This internal tension marks a major shift, placing both Cunningham and the Fever at a crossroads that could shape what comes next for both sides.
Released a tweet about 37 minutes ago. It stated the WNBA and WBPA have reached an agreement on a moratorium for league business. Sources tell ESPN this is necessary because the sides had failed to reach an agreement on a CBA agreement or an extension by the January 9th deadline. So with that being said, they have come up with some type of agreement. Now, I just want to look up something real quick before we dive a little deeper in this, because I need more clarity on this agreement, man. So I'm going to go to Google and look and see.
Adding to the drama, Sophie has openly talked about her future on podcasts, mentioning a hoped-for big payday and her goal of buying a house in her next city. She's even hinted that this could be her final stretch as a player. That push for financial security now clashes with reports that the team's leadership isn't fully on board with her direction. Comments that once sounded like smart positioning for free agency may now be seen in a different light. It highlights the growing tension between her personal goals and the Fever's internal priorities.
That's interest. So from my understanding, based off this little moratorium thing, hopefully I'm saying that right, they have decided to do, this is not giving us a 2026 season. I do want to be clear there. I believe they reached an agreement to this just a proper word to continue negotiations, if I'm reading this correctly. So as of right now, it's still basically they still don't have a WNBA CBA agreement. Now, Alexa Philippou retweeted this as well.
The irony is hard to miss. In 2023, Sophie Cunningham was the most Googled player in women's basketball, surpassing stars like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Beckers, and Aya Wilson. Gaining that level of attention, only to face reported pushback from her own team over negative publicity, has surprised many. The same spotlight that should benefit a franchise now seems to be a source of tension inside the Fever organization. It raises bigger questions about how teams balance a player's public image with on-court results and locker room fit.
This for teams to be offering qualifying offers, core destination or courting free agents until there was a new CBA agreement. So I'm wondering if the players is doing this to stop free agency. That's what this tweet is saying. Somebody else said this is actually bad news for fans and coaches. Coaches will have to implement complex systems in a condensed offseason with very little time for players' development and chemistry building, which will hurt the product on the court. Now, sign replacement players. So that's what it's
on the court. Cunningham has done her job. She has proven herself as a reliable role player. In 30 games with the Fever last season, she averaged 8 points, 3 rebounds, 1.2 steals, and 1.7 three-pointers in about 25 minutes per game. Those are solid, productive numbers for a guard and show her versatility and impact. Her contributions were real and measurable. But now the discussion has shifted away from performance and toward reported off-court issues. That shift suggests a deeper, more personal conflict that goes beyond stats and standard team evaluations.
Maybe we could be getting a replacement situation similar to the 90 movie that we seen with Keanu Reeves, The Replacements, because that's exactly what it's finna look like, man. And somebody said the first 8 words of this tweet had me thinking we were going somewhere else. Right, man, like it had got so bad I straight had to Google what the word meant, because I ain't gonna lie to you, I didn't even know what the damn word meant. Now, this is not a good look for the WNBA players or owners, man. Y'all still can't come up with an agreement. Y'all still can't come up with a system in place to get us a 2026 season. Because basically what y'all saying.
Her 2023 season ended early after a serious injury. In August, the 29-year-old guard tore the MCL in her right knee, forcing her to miss the rest of the year. She wasn't alone. Several key Fever players, including Caitlin Clark, also dealt with major injuries. Those setbacks piled up and turned an already tough season into an even harder one. That injury likely added another layer of uncertainty to Cunningham's situation and may factor into future decisions.
The fans is suffering because we still don't know definitively if we even gonna have a 2026 season. Now y'all trying to use big words to try to say that, maybe we is going to have a 2026 season. We just got to wait and see. And me personally, not a good look, man, because at the end of the day, fans and players need clarity. And it seemed like none of y'all know what the hell y'all doing. And we just sitting here now. Now we're just sitting here day in and day out. Y'all keep, once again, donkey in a carrot, bruh.
Most importantly, Cunningham signed only a 1-year deal with the Fever. That means she is set to become a free agent when the window opens on February 1st. If Indiana wants to keep her, the front office would have to negotiate a brand new contract. Given the reported tension, it's unclear whether those talks will even happen, let alone succeed. Her contract situation makes her future with the Fever highly uncertain.
Was made roughly at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, the union felt it contained unnecessary language beyond simply delaying the free agency. According to a source familiar with the negotiation, it looked to remove that league in. And it goes on to say the WBPA received a response from the league Monday afternoon and accepted it. The motion will apply specifically to free agency. So basically, they're stopping free agency, man, including the sending of qualifying offers of core destination signing and all negotiation. The motion will end when a new collective bargaining agreement is rectified.
The Fever already needed to make major moves this offseason, and now they're dealing with an unexpected internal issue involving one of their key players. The reported tension with Cunningham only adds to the pressure. Indiana must rebuild, adjust its strategy, and lock in talent. But first, it has to address this internal situation. The timing couldn't be worse, because moving forward requires unity, something that appears shaky when it comes to Cunningham. Adding even more uncertainty, breaking news has affected not just her future, but the entire league. The WNBA and the Players Association have agreed to a league-wide moratorium on team business. This rare move freezes free agency, delaying qualifying offers core designations, and all contract negotiations. ESPN's Holly Rowe reported the development, and it has thrown the entire offseason into chaos. Not just for the Fever and Cunningham, but for every player hoping for a new deal or a new team. Simply put, a moratorium is a temporary pause. In this case, it stops free agency while the league and the Players Association continue talks on a new collective bargaining agreement. This is not a new CBA, just a short-term measure to keep negotiations going. For now, everything is on hold, creating major uncertainty, especially for players like Cunningham who are due for new contracts. This pause directly affects her situation. No team, including the Fever, can make her a qualifying offer or enter formal talks. All movement has stopped. Her hopes for a big contract and a fresh start in a new city are now completely frozen. This league-wide freeze turns the situation into a painful waiting game, making the already tense relationship between Cunningham and the Fever even more complicated and drawn out. The reason for such a drastic step is straightforward. The WNBA and the Players Association failed to agree on a CBA extension by the January 9th deadline. That breakdown created a legal gray area, forcing the league to impose the moratorium to stop teams from making major decisions under outdated rules. This stalemate highlights deep disagreements that have been slowing progress for months, leaving players, teams, and fans stuck in limbo. Frustration is growing on all sides. Many fans and players are voicing anger over the lack of direction and what they see as poor leadership. One fan compared the situation to chasing a carrot that never arrives, capturing the feeling of constant promises with no resolution. The temporary freeze has only deepened the sense that neither side has a clear path forward. From a coaching and fan standpoint, the moratorium is widely seen as bad news. Coaches now face the challenge of installing systems during a shortened offseason, with little time to build chemistry or develop players. That lack of preparation is likely to hurt the on-court product and lower the quality of play fans expect. This issue goes far beyond contracts. It threatens the league's ability to properly prepare for a competitive season. Some commentators have even raised the idea of replacement players, drawing comparisons to past sports strikes. While that may sound extreme, it reflects growing concern that if a new CBA isn't reached, the league could be forced into unprecedented solutions just to keep games going. The mere discussion of replacement players shows how serious and risky the current standoff has become. The bottom line is clear. WNBA players and owners remain unable to reach a definitive agreement, highlighting a deep, ongoing conflict. This isn't a small hurdle. It's a persistent breakdown in negotiations that leaves the 2026 season hanging in uncertainty. Fans and players want clarity, but all they get is a temporary pause and continued questions about the league's direction. Amid all this chaos, Sophie Cunningham has stayed focused on her recovery. She recently wrapped up her basketball clinic in her hometown of Columbia, Missouri, and has returned to Indiana to continue rehabbing her knee. Her dedication shows she's committed to getting back on the court, no matter the obstacles. Yet her presence in Indiana contrasts sharply with the rumored friction between her and the Fever front office. The situation is further complicated by public appearances. The Fever recently shared a post of Cunningham courtside at a Pacers game, creating a confusing narrative. Fans see her integrated with the team, but behind the scenes, reports suggest her future may be in doubt. Meanwhile, the ongoing status quo in CBA talks frustrates everyone, signaling little progress and keeping players, teams, and fans in limbo. So what does this mean for Cunningham and the Fever's offseason? The picture is uncertain. Alleged internal issues and the league-wide free agency freeze leave her future with the team unclear. Once one of the most talked-about players in women's basketball, Cunningham now faces stalled contract talks and a chaotic offseason. The WNBA's puzzle has just lost several critical pieces, leaving everyone wondering what comes next for the team, the league, and Cunningham herself.